Hello, I'm Ian Alexander Hansen, also known as Animated Critic, also known as IMpasto Animation Studios. Welcome to my training video. Today I will be covering the topic of animation principles, timing and spacing, and ease in, ease out. Thank you for watching this video. Please watch, enjoy, learn, and comment. I would love to hear from you. Now I'm starting with this screen today because I just ran across a video that was posted about 4 months ago. It's on Vimeo, and it's easily one of the best, if not the best, explanations of the 12 principles that I've seen. It's entertaining, it's fun to watch, and it's just really well done. So feel free to take a look at the Cento 12 principles on Vimeo. You can follow the link below or just search it up on Vimeo or Google. Now we're looking specifically today at 2 of the 12 principles, which are timing and spacing, and ease in or ease out, also called slow in or slow out, which are really, really crucial principles for animation to understand and to get right. I'll start with an exercise. This is suggested by Richard Williams in his book, The Animator's Survival Kit. And we're going to be looking at 4 different, the blue, red, green, and purple ball, and they're going to travel across the screen. And the question is, which one travels in the least amount of time? So we'll just watch them one at a time first. The question is, if they all started at the exact same time, which one would reach the end first? I'll give you a minute to think about that and formulate an opinion. If we watch them all travel at the same time, you see that they actually all get to the other side exactly at the same time. It's 100 frames, in this case 30 frames per second, so it's 3 1/3 seconds. But they all travel and they all make it across the screen at the exact same time. So the obvious question arises, why do they appear to be so different? And the answer is it's how they're spaced out. Even though the timing is the exact same, it's 100 frames, each one gets to the side in his or her own way. So let's take a closer look at how the computer is interpreting this information. This is After Effects, but animation programs will interpret basically the same way. They might show it a little bit differently, but they're understanding the same information. If we look at the blue and we look at all these little dots moving across, we'll see that every time there's a new frame, the ball is moving exactly the same as the frame before it. So it's evenly spaced. Now if we look down here in the graph editor, which I use a lot of, this button here, or Shift F3, you'll see that the graph editor shows that it's doing the exact same thing as what is on the screen. So that it's an even distance every time a new frame comes. The ball is traveling exactly the same distance as it did the frame before it and the frame after it. So it's just evenly spaced all the way across. Now if we take a look at the green one, or the red one has a different pattern. So the dots start close to one another, and as the red travels across, they start getting further and further apart. So if we look at that graph, I've separated X and Y. There are a lot of really important reasons to do that, but I can control the X movement separately from the Y movement. So what starts happening as we move across, it's moving very slowly. And if you're looking at the graph, it's moving very slowly and there's not much change in the graph. And then as time goes on, the change starts to come more and more quickly until it almost crashes into the other side. Now, there's an interesting thing that we can do here, and as I'm looking at this graph editor, I'm seeing that it actually slows a little bit at the end. And if we look at and turn on our handles, we can actually take this and make it a much, much steeper curve into the end. If you look at the graph, you see the curve becomes steeper, and as you look at the dots, you see the dots start coming further and further apart as well. We can stretch this quite a bit, and it would depend on the effect we wanted. But the point is, the more steep that curve is, the harder it's going to come into that area as it comes through. So if we just play that through, slow, 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 and then faster, faster until it just really slams into that far wall. If we pull it even further, we get more of that effect. It's like it's aiming for a crash. Boom! We could do some interesting things with squash and stretch in there as well along the way, but not going to do that right now. Now in the green, it's the exact opposite of the red. It started off really fast, so the change between each frame, if you look at the dots, you'll see that there are wide gaps between the dots early on, but then those gaps get closer and closer and closer. So it started off fast, but then seemed to have run out of gas. And then finally the purple does something a little bit different. It actually goes backwards first and then moves forward. But in the thick of the main action, you'll see that the dots are closer, then farther apart, meaning it speeds up, and then they get closer again. And the graph shows that exact same thing. There's not much change in the graph here. As we come to the middle, the change starts coming more quickly. And then as we come to the end, the change gets close again. This is what we're talking about when we're talking about easing in and easing out of an action. And that spacing is defining how that works. Now, if we look again at all four of them together, the next question is which of these four is the most natural movement? Which of them feels most like an actual object or even a character? And it should appear that the purple ball is the most natural. And there are a couple of reasons for that. So it's been quoted that animation is how things start and stop. So notice that we go from slow to faster and back to slow in the purple. Now on the blue ball, we've mentioned this before, it's going exactly the same pace all along. Now, that's okay for something already in motion, but how did it start and how did it stop? It just stops suddenly at a wall. This is what we call flash animation, as in Adobe Flash, or more correctly, probably Macromedia Flash. Back in the day when people just kind of didn't know what they were doing, everything just kind of moved evenly along. So whether it was a car or a 1,600-pound weight, it would just move evenly along, and it didn't look like it had any sort of character or life or physicality to it. Now the red ball starts out okay because it needs to get going, but by the time it gets to the end, it just kind of keeps accelerating, and then all of a sudden it's done. So it starts okay and ends kind of poorly. The green ball ends nicely, like it ran out of steam, but its beginning, how did it get started like that? Was there some force behind it? Was there a spring shooting it off? Or, did it just kind of all of a sudden just start? Because things don't start like that. And so then the purple one, not only is it speeding up and slowing down as it begins the action and ends the action, it's also anticipating the action. It's going the opposite direction of the action. It's not exactly part of the topic for today, but it is a really important principle as well, which should give it the most natural and the most lively feel. So the question becomes, why is this important? When timing and spacing are used properly, it gives animation life. It helps establish proper physicality to the action. Something dropping, something swinging, something turning around would be greatly helped if parts of the action are accelerating and parts are decelerating. Be very, very careful of everything traveling at the constant rate, like that blue ball. It's lifeless, and very often it's just plain old unnatural. But most importantly, we get character from these actions. I want to show you a couple of examples. Now, these cars are doing the exact same motions as the balls before them, of the same colors. So the blue one traveling at a constant rate, the red one speeding up, the green-yellow one starting fast and then slowing down, and then the purple one actually anticipating before it actually takes off. And you can look at them and you go, wow, these cars have a personality, and they're inanimate objects, but they have some sort of feel to each one of them. You know, the green one, boy, I'm going to get there fast, and then, didn't quite make it. But then the purple one, again, being the most natural, the most car-like of the cars. So if we look again, 4 snails doing the exact same actions. And we can start kind of feeling like they've each got a personality. You could even give each one of them a name. And then with 4 swimmers. And we've added the arms, and it's kind of funny in some cases. The green just taking off, yeah, I'm going to get there fast. And it's like, whoa, I got tired. The red one going, oh, I got better catch up. The blue one, constant rate. And, of course, the purple backing up, which is a little bit strange for swimming, but before he gets going. But each one has its own personality. And you can imagine, as you start combining this with the other principles, and especially with arcs, with overlap and squash and stretch, we really get personality from our animations. But even this alone, timing and spacing used properly, gets us pretty far. As always, I will share the file and I will share my notes, so look below for those. And please like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. Thank you so much.